So in this video, we are going to go over how to make the rose. For this one, you're going to need the template. We're going to be making the leaf here. At the moment, I don't have them labeled, but they will be labeled in your pattern. So we're making the smallest leaf here. So I'm going to show you how to make the leaf and then how we assemble the petals for the rose. So for the stem of the rose, I am using an 18 gauge, 1.02 millimeter wire, floral wire. I got this from Hobby Lobby and it is $3.49. There's 40 that comes in this pack. This is for the stem of the rose. And for the petal, for the leaf, I am using a 22 gauge and it is 0.65 millimeters. And there is 70 that comes in this packet. Okay, so first I'm going to show how I made the petal for the rose. There are 6 of them per rose. If you would like your rose to be bigger, you can definitely add more of these. But for this particular rose in this pattern, there are 6 of them. So you're going to take your piece and you're going to cinch one end. And then you're going to slightly cinch the other end. You're just pulling it enough to flatten out the curling so that it's not, you see how curly that one is? So you just pull it so that you can flatten out the curls on the end. So now we're going to sew this end closed. And you will do that by picking up a stitch on this side. You're picking up the stitches that are on the very top here. So one on this side, and then one on the other side. And just continue to go back and forth. Okay, now you're going to pull the yarn tail. Now it is closed off. And then you're going to tie off the yarn tail. And hide it inside the work. Okay. Now to assemble the rose, your first piece, you're not going to use the yarn tail on this first piece. You are going to use the yarn tail on this piece. So you want to make sure that there's a yarn tail on this side So flip it so that the yarn tail is closest to the next one you're going to sew, because you're going to use that yarn tail to sew them together. So we're going to match or stitch them together. Now we're not going to go all the way to the top. You're going to stop. So we're going to match or stitch up until the 6th row. So there should be like 2 left at the top that we're not going to sew. Okay, and now pull the yarn tail and then take your yarn tail through one of the petals and out the bottom. And as you can see, there's a gap in between there, and that's what you want. You want there to be an opening between each of them. Now I'm just going to tie off my yarn tail and hide it inside the work. You're just going to continue to do this with the remaining petals. So I'm just going to keep sewing them together using the yarn tail of the new one that's being added. And when I've completed all of them, I will be back. On the very last one, you're going to keep the yarn tail. So I've tied it off, but now I'm going to take it through the last petal all the way over to the end here. And this is how it should look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they've all been sewn together. Now for our stem, you're going to take a ruler and measure 12 inches. And then use your wire cutter to cut it. So take your hot glue gun and just add a little bit of glue to the tip here. And then attach the yarn. And then wrap it around. Okay. I don't cut the yarn tail from the ball of yarn. I just leave it on there. So take your hot glue and add a line So add your hot glue and then place your stem on the hot glue there. And then add another line of hot glue. And now we're going to fold the piece over or roll it over. As you're rolling, add hot glue. And I'm adding it at the bottom and not at the top because you don't want dried hot glue to show through at the top. So just continue to roll this. And then as you're rolling, stop and add glue. You can see there. And now take your yarn tail that's on the end here and we're going to mattress stitch. Bring it all the way over to the end. And just mattress stitch the last petal to the rose. I'm going to tie off the yarn tail and hide it inside the work. And there you go. So as you can see on the bottom here, the petals are kind of spread out. You can leave it like that if you like. But what I do, I take the yarn tail and make a drawstring. You do that just by picking up the last stitch at the bottom of each petal. Okay, and I just hold it down like this and then pull the yarn tail. You can see it's closed it up. I'm going to tie off my yarn tail and then hide it inside the work. I have my rose there.